Will be candidate advertising.
Voters are set to decide on a $20 million SPLOST to refinance the debt incurred with Highland 75, the vacant industrial park on Cass White Road. Each candidate just spoke on the imbalance between city and county inventory tax exemption rates. In light of that issue, how would you market Highland 75 to get business and industry interested in and ultimately locating their facilities in Bartow?
That's going to be just like all the other projects. We're going to have to go online. We're going to have to get folks from outside the country coming in here, using every resource. We need to reiterate to everybody, we got 7 major roads coming through here, 75. We're going to have to sell our trucking firms. We got 26 trucking firms here in Bartow County to work out here for folks. We got the rail services to work out here, Phoenix Air Service. We got to sell ourselves, sell that park, and sell the things around us. And then when it comes down, we're going to have to use that area, whatever we can do to bring them in here. We're going to have to sell it. We have to reduce something to get them in here, almost give it to them to get a good business in here. We've got to bring that business to Bartow County, and we've got to sell that piece of property. Find the right business, and then make it happen. Make it to where it is if they ask, how do we get this business to Bartow County? Real simple. It's going to be the best place for you to do business in the United States. Come here.
Candidate Lewis?
Great question. And the first thing is we're going to get Freeport to be a non-issue by making it 100% exempt. I didn't get a chance to show my map a while ago, but you see Bartow is a different color green because we're not at 100% Freeport tax exemption. And I want to be that sassy green because that's our color, Team Tracy. And I want to get Freeport out of the way. And that's the first thing to attract businesses to Highland 75. And because it is a process of elimination when businesses and industries are looking at a region. And if they see us as we don't have Freeport, then we don't even know that they looked at us. So the second thing would be to aggressively market. Sell Bartow County. Go out and find some industries and businesses that are unhappy in Utah or New Jersey or Texas or wherever. They wouldn't be unhappy in Texas probably. They haven't even experienced the recession that we have. But go find them and show them what land we have and how close to the interstate we are and how great of water, the infrastructure that we have in Bartow County. Adairsville sells water to Floyd County. I mean, we have 7 exits at I-75 and Highland 75, with its name, is located right off of I-75. So why are they not there? You know, I wish Lowe's was there, but I'm a positive thinker, and I know that some of our Bartow County residents are going to get some jobs at Lowe's and drive a few miles, but that was because of Freeport. First thing is get rid of Freeport. Second thing is aggressively market Highland 75.
Great. Candidate Bearden.
3 things. If anything that I've learned in my 40 years of experience has taught me, that experience is the best teacher. Secondly, you don't sell by waiting the customer to show up at your door. You go where the customer is. Our economic development organization will be charged early on with developing me a list of prospective clients that go, our manufacturing operations, that fit my criteria for the future of the county. And then I know some of you, my neighbors, haven't seen me with a suit on. You think I go around barefoot all the time, but I'll put my suit back on like most of you see me here tonight with a suit on, and I go to them. I go to those plants. I tell them our beautiful story. I can put our story in Bartow County down in half a page. You may think I'm pretty wordy, but we've got such a wonderful story. We should not be shy about going anywhere, and I will not. That's the way we get them here. You don't bring things by waiting for them to come to you. You go to them. I'm going to remake the nature of the county commissioner's job. It's the CEO. The CEO of any large operation is the chief salesman for that unit. I'm going to make sure, if I'm honored by being your public servant as commissioner, that I'll be the best salesman of Bartow County there, not here.
Mr. Tidwell.
Those of you who do not know, we do have a Cartersville Bartow County Economic Development Department, and they are in touch with companies that have interest in Georgia through the Georgia Economic Development Department. They have a heck of a nice pamphlet that brags a lot on Bartow County. If you get one, if you find one of these, get it and read it. It will really impress you. But it just goes back to marketing, trying to get that 100% Freeport. We will get there. But those are just some things we're going to have to do. And basically, when these companies are looking at Bartow County, the local economic development We'll contact the commissioner, find out what kind of concessions they want. We talked about this in the last debate, I think, for those that were there, but everything from how long is it going to take to permit something or get it approved. There's a lot of different things take place, even on the state level, with EPD and EPA, depending on the type of company it is. But so far the county, and from my involvement with the county, we've done everything we can on these companies that come in to facilitate them, to give them everything we can so that we can have that company located in Bartow County, and we'll continue to do the same thing. Thank you.
And candidate Taylor.
You know, the industrial park started with a vision, and it came right after Toyo Tire we landed Toyo, and with the city and the county, and the authority got together and decided we're going to start a park. It's took years to get to where we are now. We've got water, sewer, power, we've got roads in the park, it's ready to go. When you develop an industrial park, it's not like developing a residential subdivision. It don't take off immediately. I remember when Adairsville was developed here on 140. It took years. And then the Adairsville Authority and the County Authority built a spec building, and it sat empty for years. There was a lot of public criticism over that decision, but then all of a sudden a company locates there. And now there's several companies in the Adairsville development park out here. And a lot of good paying jobs is out there. And that's what's going to happen to this industrial park. We're going to land great paying jobs with benefits, and it's going to be a plus to our community. And the way I would go out and attract jobs, the first thing is commissioner. I think I would make our county 100% Freeport. And like we discussed before, that's a starting point. But after that, and oh, by the way, I misspoke with the city earlier tonight. The city voted to go to 40%, but they haven't went to 40% yet. Thank you.
All right, the next question. As commissioner, how would you make sure that taxes don't go up? Oh, wait a minute, we've already asked that one about 4 times. Never mind.
Ask it again.
Each candidate has stated that their top priority would be to bring new jobs to Bartow County, preferably high-paying jobs. That leads us into the question of what limits we will place on attracting new business. If a company seeks to relocate to Bartow County with the promise of a certain number of $10 to $12 per hour jobs, what is the threshold at which you say the benefit of new jobs is not worth what the company is requesting in accommodations? And we'll start with Ms. Lewis.
Yes, jobs is my highest priority, but mine on jobs is a little different from a couple of the others. It's not just high-paying jobs, it's all jobs. But there is a minimum threshold, I do believe, for limits. And the average Northwest Georgia wage is $12 an hour with benefits. We have all types of people in this county, as I've said before, they have all types of skill sets. And some people are very happy with what they make, and law-abiding citizens that may make $12 an hour and have a good living and have their home paid for and are happy. That may be all they desire. So what is a high-paying job to you? I mean, we're all up here running for a position that starts at $75,000. What is that, $35 an hour? I mean, where is the limit? What are you saying is a high-paying job? We need all jobs because we got to land one to start the ripple effect to get the others. And as we said before, every dollar turns around in our community 7 times. So of course I'm for high-paying jobs, but that's subjective as to what that is. But I would say the threshold, the bottom line would be the Northwest Georgia average, which is $12 an hour with benefits. And when I say with benefits, that equates to probably $3 to $5 an hour that they're getting already. So I think it would need to involve benefits.
Mr. Beard.
Lewis, it depends. Depends on what the nature of the quality that's coming. As example, one of my clients was Mitsubishi Electronics in Research Triangle Park in North Carolina 15 years ago. We'd given an arm and a leg. We would not do non-recourse financing at the expense of the county, though, on any of them. But I'd go much further for that wafer fab plant that's in Research Triangle Park than I would with Kroger manufacturing plant in Indianapolis, Indiana, where it's just another manufacturing. But we need that too. It depends on what you're bringing as to what you give up. But there are limits. There are things that are not negotiable. The county taxpayer should never be on the hook regardless of what happens. State of Kentucky, state of Alabama did those things. Not here. We've got such a good story. We do have all the ingredients here to be a Class A location to compete anywhere across the country if we sell it properly. We shouldn't sell ourselves. We don't have a need to. We're a very special place. I want to ensure that we will be a special place when our children are here and when I'm gone. So we don't give up a lot. What we've got to do is sell. Sell, sell, sell. We don't sit here and wait. We go to where those places are. We'll make that decision with Citizen Advisory Panel and the Economic Development Organization with us.
Thank you. Mr. Tidwell?
Yeah, you can't just look at just the salary. You've got to look at how many employees that company's coming in, what kind of impact it's going to have on the particular area, the environment you've got, what kind of raw materials they be bringing in that we might collect sales taxes on. Like with the Lake Point situation, they were wanting the county and city just to give them everything, and I know they had to go back into negotiations and let them know they can't have all the sales tax they get to repay their investment. We've got to get enough taxes to at least pay for this law enforcement we're talking about. Anytime you bring in another company, you know, you've got a situation with your fire protection. There again, I said law enforcement. You got a situation with roads. What kind of wear and tear is this new company is going to be putting on our roads? That we might need to make sure we've got those taxes to help cover that. We don't want to bring something in, think we're getting a lot off tax money, and then have to pay out on all these expenses to compensate it. So there's a lot of different factors involved in that that you have to look at rather than just giving away the whole thing. But with this new development we have on at Highland 75, I mentioned before, this extension of the SPLOST money should help pay that off. And when we do, then we've got a good bargaining tool there as far as the cost of the property that we can provide for somebody. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
You know, we need to think back about 30 minutes ago when we talked about Bartow County being $10,000 to $12,000 average household below surrounding counties. $12 an hour is about $26,000 a year without overtime. That's below what we are now. Why would we give tax abatements and free land to a company that comes in and pays $12 an hour? No, I'd set the bar really high. Let's go to $20 or $22 or $3 an hour. And let's recruit industry that's going to deserve to be in Bartow County. The cheap wages is over in Bartow County. They can go anywhere. And I know jobs is jobs, and if you're making, say, under $10 an hour, you're almost, and this is sad to say in our country, but you're almost better off without a job if you're making less than $10, especially if you have children. You're going to be on peach care. You can't afford health insurance. We have got, if we're going to give land away, if we're going to give tax abatements to these companies, and they'll demand all of that, and we're going to have 100% free port, they're going to have to pay their citizens decent wages, wages that everybody in here wants. So why should we settle for cheap wages? Just because we're in Bartow County, just because we're in the South. They've already got cheap taxes, residential and industrial, compared to the northern states. But it's time that we pay big wages in Bartow County, like surrounding counties.
Mr. Abernathy. There are a lot of things to look at when a company's coming in. You got to look at environmental. What's that going to do environmentally? Is your business going to be environmentally friendly to our county? We've got 105,000 employees, residents of Bartow County. We don't want to bring some industry in here. So what are the limits? We're talking about salaries, but we're also talking about other things too, not just the wages. But what are we going to set as limits? What are we going to set as parameters? Is it a moral business that we'd love to have in our business? Or is it going to be something that we're going to be ashamed of when it gets in here? We're going to give away the house to get something in here that's going to shame the whole county. And we want to make sure it's a good business. It's going to put people back to work. You know, just to build a road to go to a place, $1 million for 1 mile of asphalt is what it's going to cost us. If you put water and sewage to it, out to a place where he's going to be, that's $3 million. That's more that we're giving. So we could be giving $3 million to cut a 1 mile road in somewhere to a business as well. So there's a lot of cost to it, just like we've already brought up these other things. And $20,516 being the mean in Bartow County. I agree with Steve. I agree with the rest. We got to demand some minimum expectations of what we're going to want in here. We're going to do our part, but we want them to do that, and we want them to kind of meet the social parameters that we have in the county as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We're coming around the bend here, so we're just about done with our questions. I spoke with Commissioner Brown a couple of years ago. He shared with me that the county landfill is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And don't quote me on this, but if I recall, his numbers were somewhere in the neighborhood of about $800,000 a year is what it was losing. With that being said, all of you have said you're looking at streamlining things, you're looking at privatization. Would you support privatizing the landfill to save Bartow County taxpayers money and turn it into a profitable venue? And we're going to start with candidate Bearden.
Everything is in play. Everything must be reviewed, including the landfill. There are models out there across the country whereby privatization has worked. There are models where it has not worked. Absolutely, it'll be reviewed. Absolutely, I would consider it. Would I decide tonight and tell you I'd do it? No. I don't know the details until I get there. But everything has got to be reviewed. The good times that have been here for the last 15 or 20 years that's allowed our government to do this is no longer here. It's time for government to do this. The good times that have been here that have allowed our budget to increase over time and our revenues to do this, it's time for it to do this. We need experience, compassionate leadership. I am this county. My mom was raised 2 miles from here. I've got 4 grandparents buried in Ukaluga Cemetery. Dyer Street, named after my namesake, Frank Dyer, is right across from, no, I misspoke. Frank is buried in the cemetery, but Dyer Street is named after my great-granddaddy. I am Bartow County. Nobody here loves this county and is concerned about its future more than I am, but there are tough decisions to be made. It's time for us to live within our means to ensure that balanced budget is done in a very business-like fashion. Absolutely, we'd look at landfill also.
So you would support privatizing it?
I didn't say I would support. I will evaluate it. I've looked at a lot more complex proposals. It'll be on the table. I can't tell you, show me what the proposal is tonight, and I'll evaluate and get back with you. I'm not saying I will do it right now. I'm saying it'll be one thing that's got to be looked at, and if the numbers are right and the equations are right, absolutely I'll do it.
Okay.
If the numbers are wrong, I will not do it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a numbers kind of guy.
Thanks. I just wanted to try to see where you stood on that.
I'm sorry I didn't answer directly. My bad.
Thank you. Candidate Tidwell.
From the information I have been able to receive concerning this subject, I don't think I would favor privatizing landfill. When you do that, the company comes in and takes that over. They get to set the prices. They get to bring in the trash from Cobb County or any of the other counties. It's very expensive to develop a landfill. What do you do when that landfill fills up? Now, is this private company going to go in and develop more landfill space, or is that going to be something the county has to do? I think several years ago when we did it, I think it was close to $180,000 an acre to develop a landfill. That's a shame, really, that everybody in here doesn't really work on recycling material to keep stuff out of that landfill. Another situation you have, if they go up on the tipping fees, you're going to have people dumping trash on the side of the road. Is that private company going to go in there and clean it up, or is that something else the county has to go do? These compactor sites have been so convenient to all of us. Will they start charging a fee if they keep those compactor sites as convenience? Will there be a fee charge when you go to do that? And that might even be something we may need to look at, a minimal fee. But you don't have any control over it whenever you privatize that, and I think it caused more problems with trash being scattered across the county than what we have now.
Thank you, Candidate Taylor.
Last year, the landfill lost $900,000. And that's because the tonnage went down. With the recession that we're in, the landfill used to be a net profitable enterprise for the county. And it's never made a lot of money. But at the present tonnage, the last few years average, the landfill's got about 44 years left of life in it. Before I would privatize it, I would look at trying to turn it around. And before I would look at even, heaven forbid this, I would bring in outside garbage and keep it public owned before I would privatize it and try to get it in the black any way I could, because once you privatize that landfill, that 44 years of life is no longer. It can fill up in 10 years. It takes years to permit a landfill. I'm talking about 8, 10 years just to get the permits. And it takes almost $1 million an acre or whatever just to get the thing developed. So we're talking about a lot of time and a lot of money if we fill up our landfill that we've got now. So I would be really hesitant to privatize it. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I would look at all options before I decided to lose control of one of our most valuable resources.
Thank you for that response. Candidate Abernathy.
I would not want to prioritize this one, as far as putting it out there and privatize it. That's $2.9 million budget each year. We're talking about $900,000 that Steve's already brought up. We got to look at ways we can do that first. We ought to go in there and be able to cut some, save some. We can use more inmates. They're using them now. We can use them out there helping us. There's a lot of things we can do, and they're already trying. But you got the environmental issues with it that we've got to go with. We've got to stay with. It's bad to trust somebody with your environmental issues in the city of Emerson, right there close by. It's just hazards we don't want to let loose on somebody else.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Lewis.
The answer is no, not yet. We need to look at all options for the landfill. But to me, Abernathy already, Mr. Pastor Abernathy, excuse me, already mentioned this, a $2.9 million budget, and so 2/3 of it supports itself. And that is a service that I know I use, and most of you use in this county. There's 13 sites in this county that we can go and leave our trash. So if it's sustaining itself 2/3 and it's providing a great service, then no, I would not look at privatizing that. And plus, the SPLOST that we just approved back in March is going to increase the capacity of what that landfill can hold. So we're already making the steps to where it can hopefully be a wash and be in the black, or at least support its own self, without having to dip into the general fund for $1 million of it. And I also want to get back to an earlier question of privatizing. I mentioned EMS. I don't mean that I want to privatize EMS. I just want to say that I want to look at every department and see how they are sustaining themselves. And such as this landfill, 2/3. But the EMS is a service that we provide. I know my mom, we had to call the ambulance for her a couple of years ago after an eye surgery, and she was bleeding. And I was so glad to see the ambulance show up, and it be people that I know. I knew they were going to take care of my mom and get her to the hospital, so I did not mean that at all. But I would not support privatizing the landfill now.
Okay. Our next question is from Cartersville Patch Reader Catherine, and we appreciate her logging on to cartersville.patch.com and leaving this question in the comments. Bartow County has a big budget and is a major employer. Having excellent financial skills is a must for the next commissioner. Tell us what in your background gives you the financial experience necessary. And we will start with candidate Tidwell.
Well, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in business, minor in economics. I've been employed in Bartow County for 28 years. As a department head all 28 years. I've sat through, I guess, every department head meeting we've had where we have discussed what can we do to try to save money to areas where we might be able to increase fees. I've been a part of the budget process. When we submit a budget for each department, the administrator, Steve Bradley, and our chief financial officer, they look over that, and you've got to show why you need this money. And just because you had X amount of dollars last year doesn't mean you're going to get it the next year. Because we've had to go back and cut our budget on several issues where, we just saw we didn't need it. And thankfully, all the department heads have been, we care about the county, and everybody has tried to do their best to hold the cost down for their department. So basically, that would be my experience, just experience I've had in dealing with the county budget, seeing through all the meetings and hearing about the revenues and expenses, and that would be my experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Taylor?
You know, I've ran a business on my own now for about 30 years. I've served on the Joint Development Authority, and I'm chairman of the County Development Authority, and we've done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bond financing. And that went to the local community to help businesses grow and survive in this community. And I would use that experience in the commissioner's office. And we do a budget in my business, and it's not as many dollars. We don't have that many employees. We don't have that much money. But the budgeting process works the same way.
Candidate Abernathy?
38 years of Georgia Power. I think we've been under a budget every year I was ever with a power company. We started out, we had plenty, and then we began to cut back like every big business did. And I had the privilege of being a part of our performance management programs. I had the opportunity to be a part of our budgeting for the departments that I was a part of. And as we led those, each one of us in each of those departments had to go through personal critiques, and we had to be trained, and we had to be knowledgeable of what we were doing, and we all had to do those line item cuts. We had to come down and then maintain those budgets. And as big as Georgia Power is, the same for the county. Those projects are there. We've been a part of that. I have a business degree, I have an education degree. All those are things that would help me here today. I have personal business with rental properties. I have churches that we have budgets just like a big business. A budget's a budget. It's just got different size figures. And whether you're looking at a little church, or you're looking at a big county, or you're looking at a big business, you're looking to cut, you're looking to keep it going, and to make sure you're on target and you're not blowing yourself out of water. And you have to track what you're doing all the time.
Great.
Candidate Lewis?
Thank you. Yes, excellent financial skills are definitely needed for this, for a county commissioner job. My education, I graduated from Berry College with a business administration degree, a double minor in economics and psychology, and basic economics is supply and demand. If you don't have it, you can't spend it. But more important to that is what my dad calls OJT, on-the-job training, and that's my experience with Fast Track. I'm in my 24th year now. A successful business and the insight that I needed to cut back on the budget when I needed to, and make those tough decisions, and add services when we needed to, when I saw something that was needed in the county. There were a couple of years that I hit 7 digits, and no, it's nowhere near the $62 million budget, but a lot of the same line items are on that budget. So my experience with Fast Track, and then of course my experience on the Chattahoochee Technical College Board, which I've already mentioned, as Vice Chair of Finance and Operation for 3 years. I saw them go through a 9% budget decrease and go in line item by line item and seeing where we could do that. And I also serve on a bank board, Georgia Bank and Trust, a Synovus affiliate, and we see quarterly budgets, sometimes monthly budgets that are larger than our $60-something million county budget. So I'm very familiar with how they work, with the things that I've served on and the experience that I have, and I have no problem making tough decisions and cutting things when they're necessary. And I have the financial skills available to do that.
Mr. Baird?
Leading large engineering organizations, I've provided services to every level of government, from Washington, D.C. down to the city of Emerson. I managed Georgia Power's Financial Services Department, which was the corporate unit that was responsible for issuing tax-exempt bond financing. $3 billion worth of tax bonds were developed through my organizations that I had responsibility for over the course of 10 years. I have managed, I was CFO, Chief Financial Officer for a $300 million startup transportation industry company. As I mentioned earlier, I provided strategic financial advisory services to Fortune 500 companies. I don't have enough time to list them. It'd bore you anyway. And lastly, I have an MBA in finance from Georgia State University.
Thank you. When I moved to Bartow nearly a decade ago, I was attracted to it because of its friendly small-town atmosphere combined with the benefits of a growing city. As we attract businesses and add new development, how can we integrate that growth in such a way that we don't lose the character of Bartow, which makes it a unique place to live? And we will start with candidate Taylor.
You know, I think our small town atmosphere is what makes our community so unique. If everyone that lived here, anybody that wanted a job could have a really good paying job, it would really enhance that experience so much more. So I think that we would have to integrate our workforce, the communities around us. Darrisville's a great community to live, work in, play in. Cartersville's a great community. We've got New Harley and Kingston, down at the lake, the new Lake Point community. That's going to be a great community. I've got a vision for down in the southeast corner of Bartow County, and I think that's going to be it could be a haven with sewage going down Glade Road. That community could be revitalized, and I think it would be, we've just got so much potential here. We've got so much going on already, but there's just so much more potential that we could do. And as commissioners, some of those things have got to be done through zoning, building inspections, some of the things that Tony works with here. They're doing a good job as far as I know, but the south part of the county could be enhanced some, and I think that would be an area of focus for me as commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Abernathy.
As commissioner, I'd like for you to do something for me tonight. Shut your eyes. And all across this place, get a vision of what you want to see in 5 years. What do you want to see in Bartow County? I did that for myself a couple of weeks back, and I realized how valuable this community is. What do I want to see as the commissioner of Bartow County 5 years from now? What do I want to see? And I began to look, and I saw 1,200 acres of things that we've bought in green space. I look around and I say, man, we want more green space. We want to get the waters established. We want clean water. We got one of the greatest lakes. We got the venues in Bartow County. We've got history beyond belief. What do we want? We can allow 20% of all the communities to have green space area in them. Those SPLOST funds are already paying for that. We need to keep that going. Somehow we need to keep getting those funds to grants, and we can keep that going. Our neighborhoods require that. We've spent $30 million that's been by Georgia Department of Natural Resources. We need to keep Bartow County. What do we want to see in 5 years? I want to see an ability to walk out there with my grandson and go fishing. I want to be able to do the things in the community that make it what it is today, and even better 5 years from now as commissioner.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Yes, with the expected growth that is going to come to Bartow County, and with keeping us a unique place to live, I believe it's a good balance. As with anything in life, your personal life, your work life, your spiritual life, there's a good balance. As a part of my Tracy's First 90-Day Solutions, my third subject is to compare surrounding counties in our region as to economic development requirements and make sure we are in the game for industry development in the areas of zoning, ordinances, and land use maps. Yes, we have a lot of green space. We have a beautiful county. I've been blessed to live here all my life and had many opportunities to leave with jobs and other things, but I didn't want to. And then there's some of my friends that live here now, have been here for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. They got here as quick as they could, and they don't want to leave because it is a unique place to live and a charming place to live. So there is a good balance there, and we have got to maintain that balance. And as commissioner, that's what I would do. I would make sure that it was a good balance that is maintained to keep our uniqueness of a Northwest Georgia community, but yet be near the thriving Atlanta and have all the infrastructure in place that we have.
Thank you. Mr. Beard.
We're a special place. I'm a demonstration of that. I came back home 12 years ago because this is really, really a special place. I'm not thinking 5 years out, I'm thinking 40 years out. If we don't do the proper planning now while the pause button's been pushed, it will not be a special place. My last job was Senior Vice President of Planning for the 15th largest architectural engineering company in the country. Some people think I know planning. We've got to do a water plan. We've got to do a sewer plan. We've got to do a transportation plan. We then roll it into a publicly engaged, fully redeveloped land use plan and let the county decide what it will look like in 40 years. Not a handful of folks that in smoke-filled rooms make their own decision incrementally that I'm telling you folks, unless we take pause and do it right now, it's going to cause us to look like Gwinnett County or Clayton County in 40 or 50 years. Over my dead body will that be happening. The quality of life we have here is special. We've got to preserve it. I love it. That's why I came back home. We have a lot of work to do, and if we don't incrementally, the folks that are in the land development business and the folks that make their living over flipping land are going to redefine your county in a way that this small town atmosphere that we know now will be something that you will not even remember when your children are mature.
Thank you. Mr. Tidwell.
It's probably been 10 or 12 years ago, the Commissioner Brown got together a group of people, citizens throughout the county, and they formulated a strategic growth plan for Bartow County. It's not to control growth, but try to direct the growth in the manner that we want it to be. Through that, there's been some changes made with the zoning department that will provide some trade-offs to encourage these developers to provide more green space within a subdivision for the occupants there. I think we probably need to redo that strategic growth plan. There's been a lot of changes over the past 10 or 12 years that we need to, look at that, revisit that, and see if that's still the direction we want to go. Since then we've had, like the Toyo Tire come in. That really wasn't going to be, that wouldn't want to be an industrial type site. But like I say, with the development we have taken in, it's just time to revisit that and see what we can do to keep this small hometown life the way we like it. Nobody likes change, but you have to change some. But we've got to be in control of how much change we're willing to accept. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to be the last question of the evening, and then we're going to move on to the final part of our program. This year, the Georgia General Assembly passed House Bill 766, the Foundations of American Law Act. The legislation authorizes and encourages local governments to display in public areas of government buildings 9 documents critical to the founding of our nation. These documents include the Mayflower Compact, 1620, the 10 Commandments as extracted from Exodus chapter 20, the Declaration of Independence, Magna Carta, the Star-Spangled Banner by Francis Scott Key, the national motto, the preamble to the Georgia Constitution, the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution, and the description of the image of Lady Justice. As Commissioner, will you post these documents in a prominent and publicly accessible area in the Frightmore Administration Building and other county offices accessible by the public? And we'll start with candidate Abernathy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Candidate Lewis.
Absolutely, yes, I would gladly display them.
Thank you. Candidate Beard.
Yes. Reaching back to the earlier question, though, I forgot to mention I've been serving on the county's Green Space Committee for 5 years. I've been working on a park concept that adds no money to the county's budget, a fully volunteer-driven consolidation of all the public lands that surround the North Altoona area. And I was the architect behind the engineering system 7 years ago that made Lake Point possible today. I have been involved in that behind the scenes in a planning way for years, and I'll be glad to give folks in the room who can give you testimony to that. Absolutely, those documents define the culture and the heritage of our country, which is being ripped from our grasp in so many ways today. The more we can do to get us back in touch with what made this country great, we'll have every one of our support. That's a throwaway question for every one of us.
Thank you. Candidate Tidwell.
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Candidate
Yes,
Taylor.
of course I would.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Brandy, and we're going to wrap this thing up.
Okay. The candidates were given the opportunity to come up with a question to ask their fellow candidates. They did not have to do this. It was their choice. We're going to start with candidate Bearden. And do you have a question prepared, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Since day one, when I started my quiet campaign, and it's gotten less quiet in the last few weeks, my wife and I have been knocking on doors, 6,000 doors, I have said that I'm a term limit kind of guy. If honored by being your commissioner, I pledge I will not run more than one re-election. If I can't get accomplished what I want to do in 8 years, then I don't deserve the office. I would like to ask my peers here if they would join me in that pledge so that we can turn the county commissioner job into a true public service job like our founding fathers envisioned, rather than a continuing career job. Will you pledge to join me in a term limit pledge?
Okay, the candidates have 90 seconds, same time they had to respond to the questions, and we're going to start with candidate Tidwell.
Considering my age, yeah, if I can make it 2 terms, I would be more than honored if anybody would, if you would elect me the second term. But yes, I would not have a problem with that.
Okay, candidate Taylor.
I don't think I would. I don't have any aspirations past 4 years today, but in 3 years, I may want to run again. And I wouldn't make a commitment to something that I'd just be lying about it if I said today.
I'm sorry, I misspoke to you. Two terms, not 4, 2 terms. 8 years, 2 terms. Run one for election, one.
I would say
I would like the governor.
I would probably have enough after 2 terms, but if I still wouldn't make that commitment.
Candidate Abernathy.
No,
Candidate Lewis.
No, I would not. I would be wanting to make a difference for the greater good of Bartow County. And if the citizens see that I would not, that would be my term limits, to not be reelected.
Okay, candidate Tidwell, have you prepared a question?
I do not have a question, but I do appreciate the opportunity. But thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Taylor.
I don't have one either. My question's already been asked tonight, so thank you.
Candidate Abernathy.
I tell you, I had one, but I think y'all asked it 5 or 6 times. I would still like to get the group with it though, and we'll see if we get anything different out of it. We just come out of a bad recession. Economists across the country, depending on whether Democrats or Republicans go in office, we could very easily have another recession period, depending on what structure happens, what goes into leadership. If we saw another recession that took us into a double-dip recession, we came off this bubble, even though we got Lake Point, they pushed it out for financial reasons to 2014. The other industries, all of a sudden we see that tax digest falling out the bottom. And we know we're already tight on every area we've got. What are you going to do? How are we going to drive this vehicle? What are you going to start cutting to get it back on track and save our county? These other counties around us have spent themselves broke in many areas. But this is a good question. What are we going to do?
Okay, we're going to start with candidate Lewis. You have 90 seconds to respond.
Good question, Pastor. Of course, we all hope and pray for the best that we don't have another recession, a double-dip recession. But if we do, what I would do is obviously, I'm sorry, something just happened. Cut expenses, and that would be hard to do, but that would be what businesses would have to do. If you need to treat this government budget like a business, you would have to cut. Unfortunately, that would be the first thing that I have to do. And how are you going to drive